Man, I just did a trial run of this and it was perfect, but I didn't record any of it because I'm like, I'll just give it a test run. Anyway, we're going to go. This is trial 1.5. Welcome, everybody. My name is Dylan Barr, and this is the first video in the Unfound Anamnesis YouTube channel, where we tell you a little bit about the series that we're creating and the world that we're building in Bastunia. What I ask, stick to the end, because if you stick to the end, you're going to be able to find out how you can be a part of this world that we are shaping. First and foremost, this is the second time I've said it now, can we talk about how scary it is to put yourself out there and be your vulnerable self and put your creation out there? I have went back and forth in this room for 2 days trying to figure out how just to do this first video. And some of you guys watching this that know me might think that's crazy. I have been in sales for about almost 15 years now. Started selling when I was 18. I did a door-to-door internship where I sold books door-to-door all across the United States, hearing no all the time. And then from there, I went and traveled internationally and was a sales consultant for socially minded businesses in third world countries. I lived in Africa, Southeast Asia, met a bunch of people, taught things, constant rejection. From there, I came back to the United States and I worked for a company, an Inc. 5000 company that teaches people how to self-publish books, self-publishing school. And now I work for a company that helps people land TEDx talks. And it's all been through sales. I hear no and rejection all the time. But when you're going through that, it's so easy to be like, well, people aren't saying no to me. They're saying no to this person's product. But now I'm putting myself out there for something that I care about, for my creation. And it didn't take until this morning for me to realize I had a really good conversation with a buddy of mine, Tyler Thomas, shout out Tyler Thomas, where he said, even with this, people aren't saying no to the whole of Dylan. Dylan the husband, Dylan the friend, Dylan the hockey player. They're just saying no. If they don't like it, they're saying no to just Dylan the creator. That hit. And the more I thought about it, the more I realized my job doing this isn't even to impress you, it's to express me. So I'm excited to do it. And we're jumping in. And we actually did our first quiz for our world that we're creating earlier this week on Facebook. We've had over 50 responses now. Thank you to everyone that took time to put a response in there. Huge shout out to Kristen Wagner. When I first put out my quiz, I was telling my wife, I'm like, man, the worst thing that can happen is people like my stuff all the time. The worst thing that can happen is no one likes this, or I get like 2 likes. And it was like a day went by and I looked at Facebook and I had 2 likes, one from my mom and one from Kristen Wagner. So huge shout out. Thank you for supporting. Jordan Kerr, a good buddy from my hometown, was one of the first people to take the quiz. I didn't even think he'd be able to see it, let alone like click it and go through and ask questions about himself. Jordan, I appreciate you. You 3 plus mom, you're all with me in this process, which is kind of why I want to create comics, which we'll get to in a second. But on the talk of comic, me and a colleague, Matt Emery, will be releasing comics in the next months and years to come through the series that we call the Unfound Anamnesis, and the original world that will be, adventuring, called Bastunia. And this has now been about 7 years in the making. This started, what I want to do with this video is I want to tell you how we got here and where we're going. And I'm going to tell you nothing about the premise of the book. It's going to make you stay for another video. So you're going to have to watch our next video if you want to learn more about that. But how we got here, like I said, 7 years in the making. I was overseas. I was a sales consultant for a company called Whitman Roy Partnership. And our job was to go into companies, socially minded companies like solar companies, agricultural companies, wanting to do the world good, but not knowing how to sell. And we teach them just how to be normal with selling. And as I was doing it, 2 big passions came into play. Number one, through consulting, what I loved was creating frameworks, loose frameworks that people could play in, find themselves and grow themselves through the realm of sales. It just was cool that I could teach something broad where they could make specific for them and find success with it. I enjoy it. I love making frameworks to this day. It helped me build the last two sales organizations I was at. It's just coming up with cool frameworks. That started with Whitman Roy partnership. They're with me in this journey. And the other thing that really started to intensify was my love for different cultures and mythologies around the world, or religions. I grew up Catholic, reading the Bible. And as I grew up, I started reading different texts. I started reading the Bhagavad Gita, Hinduism, sect of Hinduism. I started when I was in Indonesia working on a contract. I learned more about Islam and the Quran with some of the most peaceful people I ever met in my life. I followed Alan Watts' videos, I should say. He's dead. But I learned more about Taoism and Zen Buddhism. And I read Monkey, Journey to the West. And I started just not only being fascinated with these religions, but starting to see some of the intersecting points in religions, the importance of a divine three, the importance of both creation and destruction, a battle between good and evil, lowercase g, lowercase e, in almost any of these texts. And the other thing that started to hit to me is like, wow, these mythologies are incredible allegories for how we can live our life. Is one of them right and the other one's not? I don't know. But they all give just amazing allegories or a hidden message in the story. And it just opened my eyes more obviously to fiction and fantasy and reading more books that way and learning the lessons that these authors were trying to teach. And I'm like, man, I want to do that. My grandma always told me growing up that I was going to be an author. I never got it. And it just clicked overseas for some reason. I said, this is what I want to do. And when I came back to the United States, the first thing I wanted to figure out was, how do I publish a book? And I came across self-publishing school and was able to work with them and then self-publish my first two books that were nonfiction. It wasn't exactly what I wanted to do, but I understood the process and I want to teach it to y'all. But in that, I was also able to meet a really good friend and my partner, Matt Emery, in the process. He had self-published a couple of books through the company as well. And he was also fascinated with fiction. We were like the two fiction geeks, and we'd get together every week for what we called the fundamental bros of fiction, capital mental. And we would just give ideas back and forth every week. Say, hey, this is what I'm doing plotting my book. What are you doing plotting your book? What are your character arcs? What are your conflicting characteristics? What drives this character? Poke holes in it. And we'd really start to formulate our stories, and we would bring them to kind of our mentor in the company called Rami Vance, who's a very successful self-published fiction author. He's published 60 some books now. I made a good living with it, and we'd bring our ideas to him, and he'd hear them, and he'd poke holes in them, and he'd tear them down, and we'd go back to the drawing board. We'd bring something to him, and we probably had 12 different ideas just get tore down throughout the process. But we learned, and about 3 years ago, we said, hey, why don't we partner and create something for this world, and why don't we fucking make it a comic? Like, why don't we do something different and self-publish a comic, and people can kind of see our story come to life? And then we went a step further and we're like, well, what if we did a comic and then people could also read each of these chapters if they wanted to? So we would have a storyboard that people can kind of read each chapter, and then we'd have a prose for anyone that wants to go more in depth and understand the world more. We said, yeah, let's do it. And in that process, the Unfound Anamnesis was born, and our first world of Bastunia was born. And yeah, we're excited to bring it to you. And here's the reason why. We've been working on this now for the last 3 years, and we've created a world and a universe so large with history and lore that we don't intend to touch all of it. And that's where you come in. Is Matt and I were talking, and what I was saying is, I going through businesses and seeing politics nowadays and seeing religions and society really feels like it's like, I really just want a break from this yes or no culture of someone gives an idea and it's like, well, no, it's this way, actually. You can't do that, it's this. My way's right. Your way's wrong. And this is why. it's rigid. And what we want to do is we want to create a world, and we want to hear from our followers where people can give an idea. And instead of the answer being yes or no, the answer could actually be maybe. Actually, that's a pretty good idea. Like, let's see how we can do that. Will every idea come through and be in this world? No, people are going to give some bad ideas, just like we've given bad ideas. But when a lesson or when a story can get through and take root in our world, someone goes, damn, that's a bit of me in there. And someone could be learning from me. And that's a piece of me that can stick with people. And we can slowly create a bunch of people giving ideas and being able to teach lessons in this world. So what we've decided to do over the next couple of months, this next year, is we want to give a framework of Bastunia. And our initial first arc, our initial A story, where our hero and their band of following really kick off where this world is going, to give a little bit of structure that people can start to see where we're heading and start to see what can be added to this. So for the next couple of months, we're going to give you kind of a behind the scenes look of how we got here, how we found our illustrator. You're going to start to see some of the illustrations, some of the first storyboards done by him. He's incredibly talented. He's also expensive because he's good at what he does. And we're going to slowly tease out what we've been creating, and you can see where you could have a say in it. So what we really ask is, if you like this, like the video, subscribe so you can see more content and it comes out. Share it on social media. If you don't like it, share it on social media, make fun of us. But most importantly, comment on this video, what you're excited for. What we want to do is we want to start having a connection with our early followers. And see what it is that you all like about it, see what it is that you don't like, and have that communication so we can create something together. And that something we're creating is Bastunia. It is the Unfound Anamnesis, and I'm so excited and scared to see where it goes. If this is you, I can't wait to see you in more videos. If it's not you, it was great to talk to you for a short period of time. And we can't wait to continue to express ourselves to the following. So that being said, we will be coming out with 2 to 3 videos a week, where we give you more color of Bastunia and where it's headed. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, take care.